Hello and welcome to the next section of what's been an absolutely fabulous weekend. I'm Kieran Woodhouse. I've been involved with this weekend a few times now, so if you're sick of seeing my face, I'm sorry, but I'm here again. Yesterday I interviewed Chris McKinnell from the Warren Foundation, and I also interviewed a cryptopunkologist, Kenny W. Irish, which was a great interview. He came on to talk about cryptozoological creatures, so Bigfoot and stuff, which is a bit of a break from what we would call the paranormal, I guess. But thank you to everybody that's going to join in during this presentation. During this presentation, I'm going to be giving a little bit of a case study on evidence that I collated with the help of the family in a house in Essex. And it's still ongoing. I'm still in touch with the family. It's still not as bad as it was, but we'll talk more about that as the show goes on. Also, I'll be showing other pieces of evidence, photos and audio evidence that I've collated over the years. And let's not forget the whole reason that we're doing this is for campaign against living miserably. It's a great cause, and well done to everybody that's participated so far and taken part. It's brilliant, and hopefully we've raised a good amount of money, and I'm going to play my part with that. And I have mentioned this in the shows that I've done already, but I am selling my book, so an introduction to paranormal investigation, and for every copy that I sell, I'm going to give 50% to the charity. So if you're interested in this book, just go in the comments and just let me know. Or you can add me on Facebook or contact me on Facebook or email me, kieran.woodhouse@gmail.com, and I'll send you a copy of the book, and I will give 50% to the charity. So give charitably, and if you don't want the book, that's fine. Just go to the Just Giving page and donate there. And so let's get on with the show. Now, we're relying heavily on technology here, and this is new ground for me in terms of doing a presentation that involves audio and video and all of that stuff over StreamYard. So I've been trying to iron out all the kinks. Hopefully it's worked. Now, if you've got headphones, I do recommend wearing headphones for this, plugging the headphones into your phone or into your laptop or your tablet, however you're watching this, because there is going to be some video evidence and audio evidence, and it might be quiet or you might not hear it properly through the speakers on your phone. So if you have headphones, please put them in, and it might aid you in hearing what I'm about to share with you. So this house in Essex, it's a family. They've got children, 2 young twins, autistic children, some teenage children, and it all started probably about late 2019, I would say. They had 3 loud knocks on the door. They opened the door, nobody was there, and they closed the door, and then later that night, all of their electricity completely tripped. The fuse box was blown, and that was it. From there, they started to get a lot of stuff. So I'm going to bring in the presentation now, so hopefully everybody can see this. If there's any issues with this, just put it in the comments. If you can't hear what I'm asking you to hear or see what I'm asking you to see, just let me know, because like I say, this is a trial and error really, so new ground. It's also interactive. Please chuck in your comments. Come and say hello or give me your opinion on what it is that I'm showing you, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you guys have. So I'm gonna just start the presentation now. So this is really everything I base my hi Valerie, everything I base my my research around really comes off the back of theories, and that's kind of what keeps the field going, different theories and different opinions. And when I kind of got into this, I started to cross-reference different investigation techniques and look at the nature of reality. And apologies to anyone that's heard this before, so it will just be quite brief. But ultimately, everything in this world, in this universe, is vibrations, frequencies vibrating to a particular energy, and that's it. That's all everything is really. And what you can see on this diagram I've shown you here is the light spectrum, and it goes from, you've got radio, microwave, infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma ray. Now we fit into the little section that you can just see here. Now this is visible light, and that's what we can see. That's the universe. That's everything that surrounds us, and that's a tiny part you can see there on that diagram. Tiny part, and it equates now. Recent studies think to about 0.035% or something. So it's tiny what we can see. So that means there's a huge amount, almost 100% of the universe is existing around us on frequencies that we can't see, we can't interact with. So that raises a lot of questions. It means that spirits could be around us all the time, just operating on different frequencies. And I get into this a little bit more detail in my book, and I talk about it in much more detail on previous presentations and on my podcast and on my show. So we're not going to go into too much detail here because this show's all about the evidence that we've gathered, but I might come back to this throughout the show just to kind of link it to what I'm talking about. So that's kind of just a very brief introduction there, really. And then really, so I'm going to get onto the next bit, hopefully, if the presentation decides to work. And this house, it was quite a normal family home, really, and most of the time it is. These places are normal and they're nothing really weird going on. But after going there, I decided to look at most investigations through new eyes, and I decided to break up experiences. So the book that I just spoke about, that was an introduction there, and that's me kind of telling people that ghost hunting isn't like TV shows will have you think it is. And the next book that I'm working on is similar to this, working on experiences. And I've broken them down into categories here. So audible, visible, sensory, empathetic, physical, and interference. And we'll touch on these as we go through the presentation, and as I break them down into particular pieces of evidence to break down what these categories mean in a little bit more detail. So audible experiences, it's quite self-explanatory what an audible experience is. Hearing voices, knocks, footsteps with your own ears, but you can also capture that sound on an EVP recorder or on a video recorder. Now, it's interesting this, going back to the little diagram I just showed you with frequencies, how so many people will pick up a recording on an EVP recorder that they don't hear with their own ears. And I would argue there that what's going on is that sound or that noise is operating on a frequency that your human ears can't detect. It's outside of your range. That doesn't mean that it's not there and it's not happening. For example, Radio 1 is playing right now, but we're not tuned into it. You don't have a device that's tuning into it. So using an EVP recorder is doing that. You're tuning into these frequencies that are around you all the time. And that means it enables you to hear sounds that you might not hear before. So it's interesting how people can pick up audible experiences, really, with EVP recorders and video recorders and with their own ears. But it's not too often, I found, that people will hear something with their own ears and pick it up on an EVP recorder. It tends to be one or the other. And that's interesting in itself. So how might we pick up these pieces of evidence? I've just shown a few examples here. We have an EVP recorder. We obviously have a camera that can pick up video and sound, and a spirit box there in the top right. Spirit boxes have become very, I guess, an everyday usable object now. They were quite rare a few years ago, but now they're quite common amongst the Ghost Hunters toolkit. I do like the spirit box. I've had some good experiences with that, but a lot of people tend to use ones that are built into their mobile phone, and I would kind of argue against that because they're easy to falsify. They're easy to, I guess, fix, really. And if you tune into the presentation I did for Festival of the Unexplained last year, I do a whole piece on equipment and what's best to use and maybe what's not best to use. So again, I won't talk too much about that. Now, this is where we're going to get down into the nitty gritty. So we're going to start looking at evidence that we found at this house. Now, some of the evidence is stuff that we picked up while we were there. Some of the evidence was picked up, obviously, the family were there 24/7. So we set up some cameras there, some CCTV inside that could pick up sound and could pick up video. And some of the things that these cameras picked up were phenomenal, to be quite honest. Some of them I've managed to debunk, and we'll talk about that. Some of them I can't, and I'd like your opinion on this as well in the comment section. So hopefully I'm going to play this now. As I say, if you've got earphones, please put them in, and hopefully you guys can hear this. Now, in this, you're going to see a dog on the landing, and towards the end of the video, it's 9 seconds, you're going to hear 3, maybe 4 knocks. Just let me know what you think. Firstly, let me know that you can hear it, and then let me know what you guys think. Okay, so as the dog gets towards the top of the stairs, you can hear a knock, 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 and then kind of half a knock, like a little knock towards the end. Now, everyone was in bed at this time. It was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. The dog normally does sleep on the landing, and he gets up. It seems like he's heard something, or maybe he feels there's something on the landing or going down the stairs. And just as he gets towards that area, we hear those 3 knocks. Please do put in the comments if you're hearing this, because if you're not, then the next 50 minutes is going to be slightly pointless if you can't hear it. So please let me know if you can hear that video. We'll just play it one more time, see if you can hear those knocks towards the end. And there you go. So you can hear those knocks, hopefully. Hi, Eddie. Hope you're doing okay, mate. So hopefully you can hear those knocks. So that was kind of, that's quite calm. That's quite, not a lot really going on there, just a few knocks. That's normally how we interact. Stu Weaver, you can hear. Fantastic. Cheers, mate. That's great. Honestly, Stu, I've been worrying about this. I've tried it on about 20 different people, bothering them just to see if they could hear it, and I'm glad it's working. Right, so that was some knocking there. Now, this next one we're going to hear is quite creepy, actually. You're going to have to really get those headphones in if you've got them. And this is a voice interacting with the family, essentially. That's what this is. And this is what I could hear. If we can just go back. Okay. Okay. See if we can get this working a bit better, shall we? Okay, that's not working. Fine. Let's move on to the growl. So this was a weird one, really, this growl, because I think with this one, there is a dog involved, and there's a dog involved in quite a lot of these videos. So you have to kind of make of it what you will. But I wonder why this isn't working. It's worked, honestly, it's worked absolutely fine while I've been messing around with it. But it's a shame. It's a shame. Right, let's see if you can see this then. So this is Lee. So you'll be introduced to the family as we go, and they're happy for this to be shown. Of course, I've cleared it with these guys, and I just want to put a disclaimer out there. There is some bad language from some of these videos during the activity, particularly Lee. Lee gets quite angry at the spirits and quite frustrated. So there is some bad language, so I apologise for that. But let's just play that again and see if you can hear that growl. So as Lee closes the door and lets the dog in, there's a growl, but it's clearly not the dog, because Lee turns to the dog and says, "You've just heard that, haven't you?" So interesting. It's almost like, does it not like the dog? Is it trying to intimidate Lee? What's it doing there? What was that noise? And this was quite common. The family, even now, I was talking to Kelly Friday night, and even now they're getting woken up with growls in their ears. The children are leaving the room and being growled at, and so it's scaring them, of course. And at one point, the whole family were living downstairs in the living room. basically sleeping in the living room because of what was going on upstairs. And we'll get onto that again as the presentation goes. Hopefully, it seems that this kind of audio just doesn't want to work. I'm not sure why. I did normally would just press a button there and it would play, but not sure why. But that doesn't matter. We'll move on. So we had a growl there. Now the next one. Now this one's a bit tricky to hear. What we get here is oi. It's quite computerized. It's quite electronic, but there is a lot of noise going on in the background. There's a TV. You can hear the children running around, but the family are adamant that this oi doesn't come from any of them. It doesn't come from the TV, and it does kind of stand out above all of the sound. Now, one thing that this spirit or this entity can do is imitate, and that's quite common in this case particularly. They've been in the house where Lee hasn't been in the house, and they've heard his voice upstairs that he shouted down to them, and they've gone upstairs thinking he's not here. I'm sure he's out or he's at work or whatever. And there's no one there. They've called Lee. He's not there. He's at work. But they've just heard his voice with their own ears. So this thing is very good at imitating the family members. And that's quite creepy. They've had dog barking when the dog isn't there, that someone's taken him out for a walk and the dog's barked. So it is quite creepy. So let's just see if we can hear this oi. It is quite tricky to hear, but just let me know if you can. It's quite a high pitch, like oi, quite high pitched. It has that kind of southern accent, that Londoner accent, and this is in Essex. Is it trying to imitate them again? Is it even a spirit? The family don't think it was anything to do with what they were doing at the time. You can hear the TV, and this does stand out above that noise. So we'll just play it one more time. So again, it's quite an interesting audio there. Not exactly how you'd expect a spirit to sound, I guess. Just someone kind of saying oi. Okay, so next one we have a voice saying going to get you. Now, I give these presentations normally to a group of people in the flesh. You know, they're stood in front of me or they're sat in front of me, and what I tend to do is play the video without the words, because what I'm doing here is I'm subconsciously telling you what to hear, and we need to be aware of that. And that's not my intention. It's not my intention to tell you what you should be hearing. And by putting the words there, I'm putting it into your subconscious, and I don't mean that. But it's quite difficult to kind of play the video and tell you where the sound is without telling you over a virtual presentation. So I apologize for that. It's not my intention at all, but it's the only way I can really get it across. So here we're going to hear someone say going to get you. So as Lee comes out of the living room and heads towards the kitchen, he clearly hears something or feels something, because you see him react, and you hear then going to get you. And I'm quite interested with that, because it links his body language, and the audio that you hear is linked. So let's play this. So you see him turn as if he's felt something, he's heard something, and then you hear this going to get you. And then just as that is said, it's almost like something gets thrown or something touches him, because he jolts a little bit. So we'll just play that again. It's quite tricky to hear this one. If you've got sound, if you've got your headphones in, do just turn it up for this one. So he reacts there. We have the going to get you. Again, quite electronic. It's quite an electronic voice. And then he jumps, he reacts to it. It's a really interesting piece of footage, that one, because you've got the reaction of the person, and you have the evidence there of the vocals, the EVP that it's being picked up. Please, again, this is as interactive as it can be. Chuck it into the comments what you think about this, if you agree with it. If you don't agree with what you're seeing and hearing, let me know. I mean, you know, there are some videos that I'm going to show you that I don't agree with, I don't believe. And that's important. You know, we shouldn't swallow everything hook, line and sinker. Not everything is a spirit. But having been to this house and experienced what we experienced, which I will get to, I'm 100% in support of this family, and I know that there is something going on there that doesn't involve them. So hopefully you can hear that. I'm just going to play that one more time because it is tricky to hear. And for those watching, if anybody wants any of this sending to them, just let me know. I'm happy to send anything to you guys, because what's the point in getting evidence if we're not going to share it and discuss it? And one of my gripes with the paranormal research field is just that, people that will sit on evidence and not share it. And I don't agree with that. I know people who've got some fantastic pictures and videos and audible pieces of evidence, and they won't share it. And I don't know why you would do it, to just sit on the evidence and not share it around. So let's play this one more time. You're right there, Stu. Stu Weaver says the TV doesn't help with that one. You're right, but the more you listen to it, the more you can see that it's a different sound. And the TV, you can hear that it's a lady talking on the TV. I don't know whether they're watching the news or it's an advert, but it kind of carries on underneath, and it carries on after. And the voice that you hear saying "going to get you" just before Lee reacts is completely different in terms of pitch, in terms of volume. It really is different. I'm not sure if years of being a musician and listening to music and editing music and stuff helps me to kind of hear those kind of things, but the more you listen to that, the more you will see. Joanne, hi Joanne, the donut queen, or was it the cupcake queen? I can't remember now. But the voiceover is over the TV. You're right. That's how I determine that. The TV noise carries on, and the voice kind of comes in over the top, and then as the voice stops, the TV is carrying on. Stu, it's a different voice to the Oi as well. Yeah, absolutely. This one is more. Oi is very childlike. Someone put that it's a child earlier. That's how I determined it. This "going to get you" is quite. I don't know. I picture like a witch type lady saying it, like an old hag type lady. But what we found was there does only really seem to be one spirit there, and it does imitate. It can bark. It can do Lee's voice. It can do children's voices. Clearly, sounds like an old man, Valerie. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. An older person. For me, it does sound more like a lady, but. Again, this is open to interpretation. Nobody is wrong and nobody is right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now this just breaking away from the family and the house. This was me giving a talk in Bristol to a group called Bristol Truth Juice. And as I'm talking, you'll hear me say the word "so." And as I say "so," I hear somebody call my name. And I react to it. You can see the little black box that's kind of hanging on my hip. This was linked up to a microphone, which is linked up to a camera that Dan, the guy that runs the group, he was filming it for his YouTube channel. And so he picked it up on the audio, and I heard it live. And it's interesting because I thought nothing of it. I thought somebody in the audience was just trying to get my attention and then carried on. But then Dan sent me this as he was editing the video a few weeks after and said, "Did you pick up on this?" And it's interesting that he picks it up, and so do I. Now, remember at the start I said it's very rare that you get hearing it with your own ears and picking it up on audio, but we do here, and it's really interesting. So I think I hear somebody call my name just after I've said "so," and the audience, they're completely silent. They were very respectful. They were watching me talk. So let's see if you guys can pick up on that. Thought someone called my name then. So I hope you guys heard that. There were a couple of ladies kind of saying, "Oh, that's interesting," but the voice that says Kieran is really, really, it's quite deep, really. And thinking back, there weren't many men in the audience, to be honest. Just see if you guys can hear that again. So just as I say "so," it's only a short video, but you hear this kind of Kieran, and that's what I heard. Thought someone called my name then. But it's interesting that I hear that, I react to that, and Dan was lucky enough to pick it up on his recording as well. Now, for it to be that clear in the microphone, he must, whatever it was, must have been quite close to me, because, as I say, the microphone that's picking up the noise is on my collar. And you hear the ladies, and they were sat kind of pretty much right in front of me. So it must have been as close as they were. It's really a clear piece of evidence, that. And it was weird because I kind of heard it, moved on with the presentation. I had a long drive back from Bristol, thought nothing of it until Dan sent me that clip. So just one more time, just see, again, if you disagree with what you're hearing, do let me know. Yeah. So, I thought someone called my name then. So yeah, that was very conversational. Yeah, it was, Stu. Yeah. So I think with that, I can't explain that. You know, there was no one in the audience said it. You hear a lady laugh after I've said I thought I heard someone call my name. Nobody in the audience reacts to it except for me. I hear it, and clearly the camera did as well. So moving on, we will. So that's audio. So that's just some audio. Obviously, we've got loads more, but we've got a schedule to get through. So that was the audio part. So we'll move now on to visible. So examples of visible evidence. So that's seeing with your own eyes. So shadows, orbs, full manifestation if you're lucky. Capturing on a video recording, capturing on a thermal imaging camera, and capturing with a photo. So again, it's really not that. It doesn't happen that often that people will get something on a film or on a camera and they've seen it with their own eyes. Normally it's one or the other. They see it with their own eyes, they go to take a picture, there's nothing there. Or they take a picture, they find something, then they say, well, that wasn't there, but, when I was looking. So it's very rare you get both. Stu, there's an echo after feedback maybe. Possibly, Stu, I'll give it another listen later and see what I think there. We were in like a little cafe thing at the time, and I don't really recall there being much echo, but I'll have a listen. So those are some examples of visible. Now, what might we use to capture visible pieces of evidence? We might use what we've got there is a laser grid pen. Now, I do like these. I've had some good evidence with these where you can see shadows moving across the lasers, but it's important to stress that when you're staring at a laser for a long period of time, it's going to do stuff to your eyes, particularly when you're in a dark area and that light becomes so much brighter, when you're in a darkened area. And I've stared at them long enough that the dots begin to move. And that's not paranormal. That's just an illusion. That's the lasers having an effect on your eyesight. So always bear that in mind when you're using a laser grid pen, that, you might get something simply because it's having an effect on your eyesight and on your perception. And we come back to what I spoke of at the start with how we perceive the world, the visible light. A camera, again, will get you some kind of visual evidence, and a thermal imaging camera there, top right. Now, I love these because what this does is it allows you to see back into the realms that we can't see with our own eyes. So when we talk about that graph that I showed at the start, this will show you the infrared spectrum that we can't see with our own eyes. So it's a great piece of equipment. Now, there are animals out there, creatures out there that use infrared to hunt. So reptiles, for example, they use it for nighttime when they stalk their prey. So they can see into that area, but we can't. So when you see things like your cat and your dog staring into the corner of the room, it might be that they're seeing things that you can't. Just because you can't see it, they're going to be able to see into different aspects of the light spectrum. That doesn't mean that there's nothing there. So let's get on to some visual pieces of evidence. Now, this was done at a graveyard, quite local to myself. We've been there 3 or 4 times now, and every time we go, we get something. So I'm going to show you a few photos from this graveyard, and they're from different visits. It's a really active graveyard. Now, I just took this picture on my phone, no special camera equipment, nothing like that. And what we have here is 2 gravestones and what looks like something standing over the gravestone there, if you can see that. So I've zoomed in, and this shape you can see here, there's quite a solid shape. Now, I believe that to be a headstone. I think that's a headstone in the background. But what this is, hovering over it, or above it, and kind of coming down over the gravestone, because you can see it's quite opaque, and it does tend to come down to here. Now you can see how cold it was while we were doing this. It was very, very cold, but this isn't breath. This is quite far away. It's in the distance. I've zoomed in a little bit more, and we can just see in a little bit more detail whatever this thing is. I'm not quite sure what this is. I've had different people say what they think it is. I'm not going to say anything. I'd like you to put in the comments what you think it is. Once I zoomed in, I played with the colour a little bit, and we got this. So what this does is it shows that gravestone, which I think is a gravestone in the background. But we have this clear shape here. Some people have claimed it to be one thing, and I kind of agree, but please do put in the comments what you guys think. So we have the standard photo. I've zoomed in a little bit, zoomed in a little bit more, played with the colour, brightened it up a little bit, and then changed the contrast and the colour, and it's still there. And we can see how it differs. Now, these darker shades you can see here, these are trees in the background. And this stands out, and you can see how it comes down over this gravestone. So please chuck it in the comments what you guys think that is. Even if you don't think it's paranormal, let me know, because it might not be. If you've got an explanation, let me know. So that was an interesting piece of evidence that we found at the graveyard. And then just going forward, this is the same graveyard. So this is just a normal photo, nothing happening. And what happened was the photo that we took after, it was a very quick, snap, snap, snap. And the photo immediately, and we're talking milliseconds after this photo, we got this. Now that's interesting, isn't it? And it's quite solid. You can't see through it at all. You just can't see through it. You can see the stones here, and in the next photo you can see the stones, but now something's blocking the picture. Now I took another picture breathing, so that's my breath. I breathed in front of the camera, and that's quite opaque. You can see through it, you can see the ground through it, you can still see the brickwork there on the floor. That was me testing this. Is it breath? Did someone breathe in front of the camera? And I don't think they did. I don't know what this is. I can't explain that. Valerie looks like a figure. I assume you're talking about the picture just over the gravestone. Yeah, that's what some people have said. It looks like a figure. But this particular piece now that I'm showing, I don't know. It's weird because nothing's there, and then it's there. Literally, like I say, milliseconds, half a second after we've just taken that last photo. So I've trialed it with my own breath, and you can see through it. You can see that that's breath. And you can see the stones and the brickwork on the floor, but here you can't. It's kind of completely blocked out the picture. So I don't know what that is. Again, guys, if you want to put in the comments what you think that is, that would be great. And also this picture was taken from the house. So this is one of the daughters, and we have what looks like a face there in the mirror. If you guys can see that. Now I'm not sure about this one myself. It looks quite chimp-like to me. But the mirror is very smudged. You can see in other places on the mirror that it's very smudged. There's smear marks on it. You have the flash or the light directly behind the lady. Could that be helping form a face? I don't know. This is what's known as pareidolia, and that's the ability to see faces or patterns where there are none. And this exists throughout paranormal investigations. We can hear patterns on spirit radios. We can see faces where there are none. And of course, one of the most famous pieces of pareidolia is the face on Mars. For anyone that has an interest in that, there was the face on Mars. Is it a face, or do we just have the ability to see a face? I don't know. But another example of pareidolia is when you look in the sky and people see clouds and they see that, it looks like a sheep, or it looks like a country or something. That's also pareidolia. So it exists in everyday life, and we have to think about this when we're looking at pieces of evidence. Because you just don't know. Dennis, I like how in depth you're going to debunk or back up potential evidence. Absolutely, Dennis, you have to. My motto is I go into every investigation to disprove ghosts, because if I go into every investigation to prove them or thinking they exist, then I will, because every shadow I see or sound that I hear, I'll just put it down to being a ghost. The clue is in the word investigator. You are an investigator. You have to think of every possible thing that it could be before you arrive at it. Only then maybe just being paranormal, because even then we're not sure. But yeah, this is an interesting picture here, because does anyone else see a face here? I mean, for me, I can see a face. You've got, for me, as I say, it's quite chimp-like. I don't know why, but you've got like the teeth, you've got like the ear here, the eye, and again, I'm kind of putting this into your mind, so be aware of that. Be aware of that. I don't mean to. Tell me what you see. It's all about what you guys think you can see. Don't let me put it into your subconscious what you should be seeing. We're about just over halfway. I just want to point out again that I am selling my book, An Introduction to Paranormal Investigation, and I'm not one. Karen Frey will tell you I hate promoting myself, but please, I'm giving 50% for every book that I sell to the charity, to Campaign Against Living Miserably. So just put it in the comment section if you'd like a copy, or PM me or anything like that, and I'll get a copy out to you, and 50% will go to the charity. I'm selling them for £6, so for every copy I sell, £3 will go to the charity. So please dig deep, and it is a good book, if I do say so myself. So moving on. Then we're going to get onto some shadows now. So there's some shadows here. Now, these are always dubious shadows. What's causing them? It could be sunlight. It could be just someone behind the camera. But just let me know what you guys think. So we're going to see some shadows. So look towards the bottom of the video here on the door. So we see a shadow there. It kind of comes across the bathroom door, which is the one on the left. Now, this camera is set up right in the corner of the corridor here in the hallway. There was nothing behind this camera. You can see here is the bathroom door. Here is a bedroom door, and kind of here is just the end of the corridor. It's just a wall. There's no window. There's no door. It's just a wall. And this camera is right in the corner. You can't get anything behind. We've tried. You can't get anything behind it without the camera picking you up. It's really as tucked back as it possibly can be. And that shadow comes across the bathroom door, and just as it does, the dog right at the end of the video, the dog is about to bark. Stu, Eddie, great. I'll be in touch about the book. But yeah, just one more time. It's a 15-second clip. Right at the end, you just see the shadow come from left to right. Right there. And then the dog barks. So that's interesting. Now, we have a video immediately after this. Big shadow continued. So the dog's gone downstairs. You just saw his tail. The shadow's still there. And now it recedes. See how it lightens up? Now, the other thing you can hear there in the background is the family panicking. The children think they've heard something. The dog has ran downstairs. The children are now scared. You can hear it in Kelly's voice. She's saying, go, 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 get out of the house. They do this a lot. They run out of the house and just stand outside for a bit when the activity gets really quite bad. They've had shaking walls. They've had banging. They've had physical contact, which we'll come on to in a second. It's quite creepy. But the shadow in the first video comes across the doorway, and then the dog barks. It reacts. It goes downstairs, and then the shadow pulls back away from the doorway. So we'll just play it one more time. Watch the shadow pull back. So again, you kind of see it rocking backwards and forwards, this shadow, and it's evident by the light that's shining on the door frame here. You can see the shadow. That's the best piece of the video you can look at in order to see the shadow moving. Now, this hallway is very, very active, and the hallway, the landing of the stairs is very active. Now, this was the first piece of evidence that the family sent me. It's quite Hollywood, and we laughed about this because Lee's filming. He's heard something. This is about the day or so after they first started having activity in their house. Yeah, you're right, Stu. It does react to the lady's voice, and it's very reactive throughout the evidence that we've got. Now, shadow and door. Now, as I say, this is quite Hollywood. He reacts. You know those found footage films? Try not to think about that, but this is one of the best pieces of evidence that we've ever captured on camera.
Where is it? Hello?
So what you're looking for is the bathroom door is now on the right.
I can hear you. Where are you? Hey? Where?
So what you see there is you see he's heard something. Lee has heard something. He's got his dog with him. You hear him talking to the dog at the start. And what happens is you see the smallest of shadows, almost imp-like, dart out of the bedroom door on the left, run across into the bathroom door, and then the bathroom door slams shut. Now, what you're seeing there is the wall. So the last piece of footage I showed you when I said camera was tucked up in the corner, that's that wall. So that shows you that you can get nothing behind that camera in order to form the shadows that you did just see before. But let's just watch this one more time, because you're looking for a shadow darting from left to right, and then the bathroom door closes and there's no one in there.
Hold on. Somebody else. Where is it? Hello? Anyone now? Anyone now? I can hear you. Where are you?
There's the shadow.
Hey? Where?
There's the door. Now, you've seen Lee. Lee's a big guy, so for him to react like that, something really must have scared him. Now, we tried to recreate this when we went to the house. We had people kind of stood behind the camera, waving their arms about, trying to recreate that shadow, but we couldn't. And of course, the door slamming, we couldn't recreate that without having a window open and a really drafty breeze coming through. And that's not what was going on there. So moving on. Again, we are kind of 15 minutes away now, so I've got to fly through this now. We have some orbs. Now, my belief in orbs, I don't fully trust orbs because it could be dust, it could be anything like that. But when they kind of act independently, they're quite interesting. So Lee, there we go.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I can feel it. Oh.
So he kind of points down the stairs, and you see these orbs.
Yeah.
Is it dust? I don't know. Give me your opinion on orbs, because I love to hear people's opinions on orbs. This was when we were at the house. So at this point, we're all downstairs. We've set up a Ouija board and a bit of an experiment at the top of the stairs with some pennies, and we'll come on to the pennies in a minute. But as we're all laughing downstairs, you see these orbs fly down the stairs. It's almost as if they're coming to check it out. What's all this laughter about? We can't have laughter in this house. You just see them fly from right to left. What else do we have here for orbs? So right there. So again, this is us at the house, and just as just having to look at the footwear, I think it's Ryan. Just as Ryan opens that door, an orb flies through his legs into the room. So let's just watch that again. There you go. Now here the orbs react to knocking, so I do some knocking, and then we have orbs straight away.
It seems a lot of knocking, doesn't it?
Knock, repeat there we go. Us. And again.
It seems a lot of knocking, doesn't it?
Knock, repeat after us. There you go. So some really good orbs there. Jessica, not disproving. I find them hard to distinguish from dust to spiritual. Absolutely, Jessica. That's my opinion too. Okay. Now this one was taken completely away from this investigation. We were in Drakelow tunnels. I've spoke about this before. We're dancing. We've put some Vera Lynn on. Excuse my dancing. I'm normally a Northern Soul dancer, not a Vera Lynn dancer. So we're dancing around, and two red orbs come around me right in front of the camera. See if you guys can spot it.
Yeah, it might be.
I think it was.
Why is it coming from that way, though?
It comes round my back here in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What's that?
What the? Where's it gone?
So hopefully you guys could see that. So I won't play the whole video again. I won't subject you to my dancing.
What's that?
What the?
Wow. And they clearly see it. They see it with their own eyes. They see it through the camera. And it's almost like they're two little orbs dancing around each other. They come around me. They're twirling with each other. And they go past the camera. So is it two spirits dancing? Very interesting. Also, they're red. Now, we're in a tunnel. We're kicking up some dust. You can see that dust coming up. It's not orbs. It's dust. But that's red. And it's coming completely the opposite way. It has its own mind. It comes round me. And it's two little orbs dancing with each other, and off it goes. Really interesting piece of footage there. Again, anybody wants this sending to them, just let me know. Her reaction is interesting. Yeah. I think just after that, there was some swearing as well, because something else happened, I think, if I remember right. Now, we're going to move on quickly. So sensory. So examples of sensory. So hot, cold spots, sensing there's someone there or something stood next to you. And of course, smells. People often forget about smells when it comes to paranormal. But, my mum's house, you quite often smell. Her auntie had a unique smell. And you quite often smell her. For sensory, you might use the thermal imaging camera, a laser pointer, temperature gun, or stickman. My opinions on stickman, I'm not really a fan of it. It's too easy, it's too prone to just be faulty than it is for paranormal. Empathetic, so picking up on emotions, sensing the atmosphere of a room or an environment. Headaches, bodily injuries, times where some of our team members felt like they'd been shot, and we found that actually someone's appendix had burst in that room and died. Of course, they likened it to being shot in the stomach. So picking up on those kind of bodily injuries and sensing the atmosphere of a room is really quite important when it comes to paranormal investigating. Now, physical, and we're going to end on these now. So this is where you can be touched, things can be thrown, you could be attacked, and of course the most extreme is possession. Now, we haven't really had that in this house, but what we have had is pennies being thrown. And I was very dubious, thinking, oh, pennies, well, it could be anyone throwing them. But we went there, and the second we walked in the house, I think we'd been in there 5 minutes, and we'd had 2 pennies thrown at us, and we couldn't explain it. We were all in the room. It was mind-blowing. So bear that in mind when you watch some of this stuff. So here we go. So we're all in the room, and we're all just talking. Elise there, is she sat on the stairs? She's kind of just listening in onto what we're talking about. And then a penny comes down the stairs, off the wall, and bounces onto the floor here. And you can hear it as well. And she absolutely panics, dives into the room, crashing into us in terror, really. So see if you guys can... You don't see it, but you hear it. I need a priest. I'm telling you. So hopefully you guys could see that. Now we have Lee. So Lee is talking to his dog. He calls his dog Big Man. And they go down the stairs. And as they go down the stairs, a penny is thrown.
Big man. Are you coming with me? Come in. Oh, fuck off!
Don't think you're a man.
What?
Don't think you're a man.
I did warn about the language, and it does get quite bad around about now, so sorry. But again, yeah, just as he gets to the stairs, a penny is thrown down the stairs.
Are you coming with me? Come in. Oh, fuck off!
Now, we have a video straight after that. As he gets to the bottom of the stairs, another penny is thrown. You can hear it right at the end. You hear it bounce and then land. Now, this one, I'm going to have to kind of try and... So bit of backstory for this video. The child is downstairs and a penny has just been thrown. That's what he's picking up. And the child's scared. And the child says, "Did you just throw that?" And he lies. Lee lies to the child and said, yeah, that was me. Just to try and calm the child down. What happens then, though, is another penny is thrown. And we can see this one. So I'm going to hopefully just try and make this a bit bigger for you guys to see. The problem is when I do, it does this weird thing, look, and so maybe we can't. But if you look on the carpet, you'll hear it hit the door and then it lands on the carpet. So let's have a look at this.
Hi. What's that, mate? Yeah, it's me, sorry.
So the child's asked if you've thrown it. He says,
no,
sorry.
Well, that's it.
And then just to move it forward, he comes and moves the mirror.
What's that fucking one?
He tells the spirit, "Don't start, we're going out."
Start that shit, man. We're going.
And now watch here. There it is. If you can see that there. So you hear it hit and then land
Fucking start that shit, man. We're going.
around here. Right there. So it's good that we actually got one on video instead of just sound. We can see it. So it's quite interesting, that. Moving on. We've got about 8 minutes or so. Direct hit. He gets hit with the penny in this one.
Right. Look.
Here we go.
Fuck off!
So you can see there he doesn't like it and he reacts as most men would. See if we can hear it. You hear it again.
Fuck off!
So you can see there's kind of this activity all centres around the staircase, the landing, the bottom of the stairs themselves. That tends to be the real piece of activity. Now this one is interesting. His friend comes. There's a bit of commotion at the start. I'll try and get past that. Basically, the son lets the dog out and they all panic about the dog. Lee's friend comes in. Now, this is someone who obviously knows about it but has never experienced it. He would have no cause to lie about it. He gets hit with a penny. So let's try and I'll just try and fast forward a bit to get to the actual bit. So this is him coming through the door now.
I leave the door open there. Oh, fucking right.
That's because they just have...
No effing way is his reaction to that. So a penny is thrown as soon as he walks in the house.
Oh, fucking right.
That's because they just have...
I mean, how about that? You know, it's nothing to do with the family. A friend has just walked in and a coin gets thrown right at him, a penny. They've had New Zealand pennies. They've never been to New Zealand. Where were they from? New Zealand pennies being thrown at them. I told them that they should ask for like fivers or something. They'd be rich. Now, this is the damage that some of these coins have done on the walls. Look at that. That's on the plaster on the walls. Look at the dents that these coins have made. So deep is that one on the right there that it's actually gone through the plaster. You can see the outline of the coin as it's hit. That's the dents that the coins have made as they've bounced off the walls. That's the force that they're thrown with. A lot of force. We've got 5 minutes now, so we just need to speed things up a little bit. We've had scratches. That was one of the young children, about 8 at the time. Scratches all down the back, as you can see there. Like I say, the family was sleeping in their living room at one point. They were petrified, absolutely petrified. We have a flashing toy. I am skipping through a few of this now, running out of time. So if anybody wants to see anything, just let me know. I'll happily send this to you. Here we have a flashing toy. Here.
It just goes to a specific person. No one can hear it.
Now, the reason you can see it is because it's infrared and we've got the night vision camera going. And that toy is this. It's an Xbox toy. And something has to be pushed on the button, essentially, to make that flash. That's the interaction between the toy and the computer box. But nothing's on it. Nothing's touching it.
Yeah, it just goes to a specific person.
But it's flashing. Very interesting. What else do we have? Folders thrown. So Kelly leaves the kitchen and folders are thrown. You can just see them land there in the background. Now, this is the best piece of evidence. We're right at the end now. We're back on that camera that's in the corner. Hi, David. Yeah, just catch it later, mate. Some good piece of evidence I'm sure you'll enjoy. The camera, this is that one that's right in the corner of that hallway. There was nothing behind it. This would be impossible. We tried to debunk this and we couldn't. What you're about to see are clothes, children's slippers and onesie manifesting out of the wall or out of thin air and being thrown onto the landing. Look at this. And some orbs after for good measure. Now, the problem with this is they're motion cameras, so they won't switch on until something moves in front of it. So you kind of you miss a millisecond of the clothes. But there is nothing. We've seen the reverse of this hallway. We've seen the other side of this camera. There is nothing there. These clothes appear out of nowhere. One more time. And again. And again, I could watch this all day. This was about 4 a.m. Where do those clothes come from? I don't know. A fantastic piece of evidence that is. Right, we are right near the end now, guys. So I do host a podcast, Paranormal Paradigm Podcast. You can get that on places like iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. Please head over there, listen to the podcast. I also host the Collective Conspiracy Show as part of the Keep On Chatting network. That airs every Monday, every other Monday. That's a live show. And finally, please don't forget, guys, I am selling a copy of my book and giving 50% to this amazing charity, the Campaign Against Living Miserably. It's a fantastic cause. Book is £6. I'll be giving £3 to the charity. I'll sign it, of course, and I'll send it out to anybody that wants one. I've sold quite a few actually already over the weekend, and I've had a few people interested during this. So please let me know if you'd like a copy. Just put it in the comments or private message me, and I'll get one out to you. Thank you for joining in. We've got about 50 seconds left. Thank you for watching this. Hopefully you've enjoyed that evidence. It's not very often you see evidence, as I mentioned. Not many people like to share for some reason. If anybody would like to see this in more detail, let me know and I'll share the presentation with you. And I'll send any of the evidence that I didn't have time to show. hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully you stay with the festival for the rest of the day. Some great shows coming up. Please take care. It's a horrible time for everybody at the moment. And be safe when you're investigating. Please be safe. Until next time, though, thank you very much for tuning in. Take care and goodbye.